PK in the universe, and I am back again with another video. And today I'm here to talk about my PlayStation 3 collection. A lot of people watched my most recent video about PlayStation 3 when I talked about why people should, get a PS3 in 2024. And the video did really well, so I was like, you know what? People liked that video. Perhaps they'd like to see more PS3 related content. And I didn't get to go into too much detail on a lot of the other games that I talked about, so I wanted to share some more of my games and talk about what I do know about them. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know as much about certain games as other games, and that's why I make these kind of collection videos. It's sort of to shame me into playing some more of my actual games I own, because I own a lot of video games. I own too many, probably, if I had to be really honest with myself. So yeah, that's why I make these collection videos, is so I can share these games and maybe even get your guys' thoughts in the comments section about, oh, here's a game I talked about but maybe didn't talk a lot about. So maybe you guys can help me fill in the blanks and tell me and try to convince me why I should play some of these other games I have that maybe I don't know as much about. But it also gives me the opportunity to share my passion for the games that I really do enjoy and have a lot of fond memories of, or have played even recently. So that's why I'm making this video. So let's get into my collection of what games I have in my PS3 collection. So here we go. First up, let's talk about the Assassin's Creed games. That's right, I got Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed The Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Revelations, and Assassin's Creed 3. The first Assassin's Creed game is literally the very first PS3 game I ever purchased ever, actually. I don't recall if I talked too much about this in the last PS3 video, but I had gotten a PS3 when I came back from my second deployment when I was in the military. And I got the 40 gig one, and the game I got was Assassin's Creed. What can I say? I love the original Assassin's Creed. I love the time period it takes place in. I love the whole concept of the Crusades, the whole Crusades setting. And yeah, Altair is awesome. I mean, what a great character. And yeah, I really wish they had continued that story more so. I remember there was a PSP game as well, and I think I had that at some point, but I no longer have it for whatever reason, and I need to get that back again in my collection. Yeah, love the story of Altair. And then, of course, we get into the Ezio trilogy here. And the thing about the Ezio trilogy, yeah, I really like the new setting of the Vatican, but man, there's something about the previous setting or whatever. I just felt like there was a lot left unsaid, and I would have liked to have seen more of that. But these games are also very cool in their own right, and this is also a great setting, during the whole Vatican era, and the Renaissance, and you meet other really interesting historical figures like Leonardo da Vinci. I think there was Leonardo da Vinci DLC, and yeah, I have a lot of fond memories playing these games when they were new. So it's a collection I feel like I should revisit it sometime. Now, Assassin's Creed 3, yeah, I bought this on day one. This was the GameStop edition one. And it had some DLC with it, I believe, and I don't know. I did not like Assassin's Creed 3, which is why I never bought Assassin's Creed 4, and I haven't bought any Assassin's Creed games since, unfortunately. Just haven't been, it's like, I felt like they just kept pumping them out too frequently. I did get Assassin's Creed 4, actually, I take that back. I got it on Xbox 360 many years after the fact. And, but I really love, yeah, the original Assassin's Creed, love the Ezio trilogy, but I feel like, why don't I just get these on modern platforms? What do you guys think? Should I get these games on modern platforms rather than play them on PS3? I'd love to know what you think in the comments section about that, if you have played the original Assassin's Creed games, so let me know. Up next we got Mirror's Edge. I do not know a ton about this game, honestly. I know it has a sequel on modern platforms, but that's really all I know about it, unfortunately. I picked this up, I think, at a thrift store, pretty cheap, and I was like, you know what, yeah, I've heard good things about it, but I don't know anything about it, unfortunately. I have 2 copies of The Last of Us. In fact, what's interesting is they're actually different cover variants. I don't know if you guys can tell the difference. I think most people probably wouldn't. But yeah, The Last of Us. I've heard so many good things about The Last of Us, and obviously it had a remaster on PS4, and I think there's a remake on PS5. I don't know what the best way to play this. I mean, is the PS3 still a good way to play it? I'd love to know what you guys think about this game. It always looked kind of interesting to me, but I've just never been able to start it. I just have not gotten into that one yet. Dragon Age Origins Weirdly enough, I have the third Dragon Age game on PS3, but I have this for some reason. Again, this was another example of a thrift store find that was too cheap to not pass up. What do you think of the Dragon Age games? I'd love to know what you guys think of that. Brutal Legend. This is also available on Xbox 360. I thought about actually mentioning this in the previous video, but I ended up cutting it from the end because I was like, yeah, I don't have much to say about it. I mean, if you like Jack Black, obviously you're probably going to like this game or whatever. And yeah, don't have too much to say about it, but I'd love to, again, know your guys' thoughts if you have this game. Genji, Days of the Blade. I mentioned in the last video that I have some DLC for it. Still haven't really dived too deeply into this one yet. Dark Void. It's another game I got at GameStop, actually, for a very good price. I don't know why I got this. I just really like the cover, and that it's a Capcom game, so I figured, you know what, why not take a gamble on this? Still haven't yet tried to play it, but it looks really interesting. Looks like a third-person game from what I can tell. Now we're getting into the first-person shooters. We got Battlefield 3. I bought this because I don't know why I bought it. It's another one of those, why did I buy this? I don't even remember buying it, honestly. That's sad. That's sad when you don't even remember why you bought something. But, yeah. Anybody who's known me for a long time knows I love, you know, James Bond 007 stuff, especially the movies. So I did get these games or whatever. GoldenEye Reloaded. I think I played more of this than I've played 007 Legends. I heard 007 Legends had, you know, bad reviews and stuff, but I don't know how it is, honestly. I always wanted to get it on the Wii U, actually, because I saw a buddy of mine, JD McFly, playing this on Wii U a while back, and if it tells you how long ago I got this on a Black Friday. That's how long ago it was since I bought this, and sadly I have not touched it. It's really interesting, all the movies it covers, like Goldfinger, Moonraker, Skyfall, Die Another Day. I mean, wow, what a huge variety of different settings in the James Bond universe here. I think it was really interesting they chose to remake GoldenEye, honestly, you know, because it's always so synonymous with Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, so putting Daniel Craig in the James Bond position is really interesting. Honestly, the game I've played probably the most as far as James Bond games on PS3 is probably Quantum of Solace, actually, which I do have a loose disc of. I'll show you that later, because I will get into talking about my loose discs. Wolfenstein. Oh man, Wolfenstein. I have more fond memories of playing the original Wolfenstein on PC than I do playing this. I have not really given this one a fair shake. Heard really good things about it though. Resistance 2. I thought about mentioning this in my last video, but I ended up cutting it out at the end because I just didn't have enough to say about it. Obviously, it's a sequel to the first Resistance Fall of Man. I thought I had that game, but I apparently don't, so now I gotta go track that down too. I believe it's a part of an overall trilogy, and the original Resistance, in fact, people said was like the best PS3 launch game, honestly. Yeah, it looks really crazy. There's a lot of cool monsters and stuff like that in it. Yeah, it's a, you know, early PS3 shooter, you know. I feel like, you know, that and Killzone I mentioned in the last video. I feel like, yeah, these games, basically, people overlook them now because they aren't on modern systems, and there's not been any real sequels to them on modern systems, so I feel like these are definitely worth owning just because they're exclusive to PS3, and they were well received at the time. So, up next, my Metal Gear Solid games. I remember just going crazy when I finally got this, actually. I got this when it was new when it first came out. I had played Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3, and I'd played Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes on GameCube, and it was fun to revisit this. Like, I went like crazy obsessed. Like, I think I played these games like for like 18 or 20 hours in one day. This is when I was still single, you know, and didn't have any real responsibilities. I just remember playing on a weekend, just playing all of Metal Gear Solid 3 for like 18 or 20 hours. It was ridiculous. Like in one day. It was nuts. But man, I just was so, you know, this story, it was just so, these stories are so good. I still have never beat Peace Walker. I really didn't like how Peace Walker played, and I have it on PSP, and yeah, I don't know what it is. I just never could get into Peace Walker. I got stuck with that game, you know. It's like I just didn't really understand how to play it. Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, I do understand quite well how to play those games, and absolutely adore these games. Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. This is one of the first PS3 games I ever got. honestly. And, you know, and I had to, this is what sold me on getting a PS3. This is why I felt like I needed a PS3, because I beat Metal Gear Solid 1 through 3, so I had to play 4. I had to get this, and it's so good still. It's still such a good looking game. I love how it pays homage and just brings the band back together, just brings everybody back together to, you know, to really give Solid Snake his proper send-off. And I really hope this comes to modern platforms, because it's stuck on the PS3. It is stuck on the PS3. It's not on Xbox. It's only on the PS3. So I hope this comes to modern platforms maybe this year, maybe next year, who knows though. It's great. Up next, we got Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. This game does not play as good as it plays on more modern platforms, from what I understand. Like, it's like 20 frames per second or something. I got this kind of, I don't know why I got this on this system. You know, I didn't have a PS4 at the time, I think. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get this. And yeah, I tried playing it. It's crazy that it even came to PS3 and Xbox 360, considering how far we were into the PS4, Xbox One era. You know, and obviously David Hayter isn't doing the voice of Snake anymore in this. You know, I think it was it Kiefer Sutherland, I want to say. And there's, of course, Ground Zeroes. You can get these all-in-one collection, you know, like Ground Zeroes in this game, like all-in-one collection on PS4 now. So I don't know why anyone would buy this version. No, probably would recommend just getting it on modern platform. But it's cool to say that at least that I have it. Maybe it'll become a rare collector's item. I doubt it, though, but who knows. Up next, we got the BioShock trilogy. Yes, I have the BioShock games here. I have nothing of value to say about these. I just have not played any of them. You know, I always said I was going to play them. I got them, you know, when they were super cheap at GameStop back in the day. And I was like, you know, I'm going to play these someday. And I just haven't, honestly. I know what the gist of what they're about. You know, it's a critique on Ayn Randian objectivism, but I don't want to get into details about that or get my opinions on that, because that's a little heavy for a game collection video. I don't want to get into the politics of BioShock, but I just want to, you know, show that, yeah, I do have these games. I've thought about from time to time, maybe, you know, just trading these off and getting them on modern platforms, because they're obviously, the whole collection is on PS4 and Nintendo Switch. So that's probably the better place to get them. But yeah, I have these in my collection. So if you saw my previous video, I talked about both of these games, so I don't need to go into too much detail. I hope you guys have watched the previous video, you know, and if not, just consider checking it out. Talked about this in the previous video as well. It's a surprising, you know, poor man's Legend of Zelda. That's the best way I can describe it. This is a game I bought strictly for the cover. Yeah, it's called, what is the name of this game? Ventica? I don't know how to say it. Yeah, it's also available on Xbox 360, I want to say. And yeah, I'll read the back to you guys real quick. In a fantastical Venice, the beautiful Scarlet is discovering her dark fate. She is the daughter of death, and she has been called upon to defend her father against a cunning necromancer. Tragedy strikes, and she must truly discover the depths of her new powers if she is to save her father and the world. A visual, stunning cinematic RPG with truly unique atmosphere. Conquer a host of nightmare creatures and action-backed battles. Master the use of Twilight World and the ultimate powers of death. Venteca, I don't know how you say it, is a vast open-world game busting with life. So it sounds like a very promising game. Now, I don't think it's very highly rated, and I don't hear anybody talk about it too much, but if you've played this, let me know what you think about it. Again, I think it's on Xbox 360 as well. Up next, we got the Fallout games. Another collection of games I don't have a ton to say about. The thing about the Fallout games is typically the farthest I ever really get with the Fallout games is I start them and maybe play for a few hours and then just never can keep coming back to them for whatever reason. You know, obviously great shooting games, and yeah, I mean, New Vegas is supposed to be the better of the two games, and it's like I've struggled to play both of them, you know. And maybe I'll talk more about these when I've really set aside some real time. I've heard it's better to play these on PC anyways. You know, obviously yeah, I don't know. Are these games available on modern platforms? I don't think they are. I don't think they're available on PS4 or PS5, but yeah, obviously, you know, it's available on PC. Up next, we got some Aliens games. Yeah, Alien Colonial Marines, and Alien Isolation Nostromo Edition. What is Nostromo Edition? Is this different from the regular edition? I have no idea. Includes bonus content. Play as Ellen Ripley, Dallas, or Parker in Crew Expendable. Another thing I really like is the fact that these both have manuals, actually. You know what? You're seeing more and more in modern games that manuals are becoming a thing of the past. And it's always nice to see that. If I was going to play either one of these games, I'd play Isolation. Isolation is obviously a far higher rated game. These are games, yeah, obviously Colonial Marines was very poorly rated, but maybe you have fond memories. Maybe you like the game, you know. Tell me if you do. That'd be really interesting to hear. Up next, we got this right here. It's a Blu-ray, actually. I've never opened this. It says, "Welcome to PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Network." Like, I don't know what the purpose of this is for the life of me. I think they basically came with every PlayStation 3 or something. I have no idea what happened to my original one, but yeah, I think I found this at a thrift store and it was next to nothing. So up next, we got the Rocksmith games. Yeah, Rocksmith and Rocksmith 2014. They don't really make these anymore. I don't know why the Rocksmith games never really took off. Well, basically what it allowed you to do is hook up an original guitar, not like something from Guitar Hero or Rock Band, but like a legit real guitar you could play. And my wife, of course, is a musician, so it was fun to actually watch her play it for a little bit. And but yeah, we've never really, I haven't played it since. You know, I got it in like 2014. I remember it was like $80 for Rocksmith 2014, and it came with the, you know, all the chords you needed and stuff like that. It was expensive for some reason. I don't know why it was so expensive. Now, you know, I'm sure that box is hard to find, especially with the chords still, but I do have the chords still to play it. So we could always play it if we wanted to, but I just, you know, it hasn't come up. So up next, we got the Mass Effect Trilogy. This was the first opportunity people actually had to play the original Mass Effect on PS3, because prior to that, Mass Effect 2 and 3 came out to PS3, but not the first one until they released the trilogy. You could also buy it digitally as well on the PlayStation Store. But honestly, nowadays, you know, there's the Mass Effect Legendary Collection or whatever, Legendary Edition Collection, and that has all 3 games on PS4 and Xbox One. I assume there's an Xbox One version. And so it kind of makes this sort of pointless. So, you know, I'm surprised we still never got the Mass Effect trilogy on Nintendo Switch. I mean, we got the BioShock trilogy, we got so many other trilogies and stuff, the Borderlands and stuff, but we have yet to get Mass Effect trilogy on the Nintendo Switch. The original Mass Effect is a game I've played and beat twice on the PS3. I love Mass Effect, especially the original. Again, I think I maybe mentioned this in the last video. Yeah, not a fan of Mass Effect 2 at all. And I've tried playing Mass Effect 3 on the Wii U because I have that, you know, and for some reason my soundbar keeps messing it up or whatever. So I don't know. Yeah, eventually, yeah, I would love to return to this trilogy again and maybe give Mass Effect 2 another shot, but overall, yeah, this is a nice box too. I remember the guy at GameStop told me, it's like, oh, I bet this is going to be super valuable. It's really not, but yeah, I love Mass Effect. Up next, we got a bunch of games with some monsters in them and stuff. We got Legendary, we got Lair, and we got Golden Axe Beast Rider. These games are all kind of poorly rated, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they were even poorly rated when they came out. I still have not tried Lair or Golden Axe Beast Rider, but I did try Legendary a long time ago. And man, I have to say, I really struggled with this one quite a bit. This was a struggle to play. And yeah, I'll say one thing about all these games. The covers on them are really freaking cool. These covers, I can see, would entice someone to go get these games. If they just saw them cheap out in the wild, they might be like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. And, you know, Golden Axe, you know, what a franchise. You know, Golden Axe was so famous in the Sega Genesis era and in the arcades. You'd think, oh, this is a cool modern take on it. And, yeah, I guess these games were all not very high rated, but I'm still glad to have them in my collection, and I will revisit them at some point. Up next, we got some tactical military games. We got Tom Clancy's End War, and then we got Medal of Honor Limited Edition. The thing that stands out to me about Medal of Honor Limited Edition is right here. Right here. It actually has an HD remaster of Medal of Honor Frontline. So when you put the disc in, it'll ask you, hey, do you want to download the remaster of Medal of Honor Frontline? Which is really freaking cool. At the time of this recording, this is the only way to play that HD remaster, is to either, I think you could buy it on PlayStation Store. I don't know if that's still the case. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, you can basically, yeah, pop this disc in, and it basically downloads the HD Medal of Honor Frontline to your hard drive. You know, for the longest time, I thought this was an online-only game because I never looked very closely at it, but apparently it does still have a single-player campaign. I believe the online was taken off in like 2023, but yeah. So yeah, I think the big, draw for me about this is it has Medal of Honor Frontline, the HD remaster. That's pretty darn cool. Up next, we got Journey. At first I was like, do I really need Journey? After all, I have this game digitally on PS3 and PS4. I got it for free. I remember at some point Sony was giving this game away for free, as well as like Ratchet and Clank, I want to say, and the Nathan Drake collection and a handful of other games. And I was like, do I really need this? Is this really necessary? Well, it ends up it actually is necessary, and it has a bunch of other games on it besides this one. Now, these games don't play directly from the disc. They download to your hard drive, just like Medal of Honor Frontline HD downloaded directly to your hard drive. It's the same with this. The games that are most notable are Flow and Flower, actually. Flower is really good, actually. That is just an absolutely gorgeous game. And I did not expect it to be what it was. My son actually played it. Actually, I was trying to play it, and he's like, give me the controller. You don't know what you're doing. I'm like, okay. Yeah, he actually was doing a great job with that game. He totally picked up on how to play it right away. I was kind of really clueless, but it's a gorgeous game. Absolutely gorgeous. Can't say enough about it. So for that reason alone, it was worth getting this physical version. Sometimes it's cool when a physical game has digital downloads, and it's not a download code, but an actual, way of downloading directly to your hard drive. That's pretty cool. So yeah, and there were some other games with it as well. And I haven't tried those ones out yet, but I look forward to doing that at some point. And yeah, Journey Collector's Edition. Totally worth getting on PS3. You might think, oh man, that game's digitally available all sorts of places, but it comes with these extra games, and I think that makes it worth having. Up next, we got Lego Lord of the Rings. Originally bought this for my wife because she's a Lord of the Rings fan. And I think we both tried playing it and were very confused. I don't know, I couldn't get past the very first part. Maybe my son will pick it up at some point. He's actually reading The Hobbit right now, so maybe he will get this and play this at some point. I actually got him the other Lego Hobbit game or whatever. I just haven't, given it to him yet. And I told him he could play it when he's done reading The Hobbit, so that's another incentive there. Next up, another Lego game, Star Wars Episode 7. This was another game that came with that $75 bundle I got. And yeah, haven't played this one. I figure my son will play it because he's played the original trilogy on Nintendo Wii, so maybe he will pick this up at some point. Up next, we got Rayman Legends. I own this game digitally on PS4. My wife and I used to play this quite a bit. She had got this for me, I think, for my birthday or Christmas or something like that, and we used to play this together quite a bit. Well, now her and my son play the PS4 version together all the time. So this game is pretty fun. I always struggled to play it in co-op because I'm just not a very good cooperative player with these kind of platformers, but my son and my wife, they work well together, so I'm happy they play this. And it's cool that I still have it on PS3, obviously, so you got different trophies and stuff, and yeah. Up next, we got Minecraft. Yes, Minecraft on PS3. I have not played this. My son has asked to play Minecraft, and at some point I'll let him play it. At some point, I'm sure. But yeah, for right now, just holding on to this for him for a little bit. We talked about games like Medal of Honor and Journey that have these cool, little, games built in that automatically download on your hard drive if you basically, do the thing. Well, this is the dark side of downloads, and that's Resident Evil Anthology here. This is Resident Evil 6, and that's what's in here is Resident Evil 6. And there's the disc, but guess what? No download codes. There were supposed to be download codes in here. There are none at all. I knew that when I bought it, but still, it's like somebody basically used the download codes. And yeah, that's the kind of, this has been going on apparently for well over 10 years, where there's games that say, oh man, it's got these games, but then you find out, oh yeah, there's download codes, that's just how it goes, honestly. That's just modern gaming, unfortunately. But it is what it is. On the bright side, I think I have most of the Resident Evil games anyways. You know, I have Resident Evil 5, that's another loose disc I have or whatever, which we'll get to later. And I think I have Resident Evil 1 or 2 digitally, and I think I have some other ways of playing other Resident Evil games, so it's not a big deal. It really isn't in the grand scheme of things. Like I have Resident Evil 4, that thing's on everything. But yeah, Resident Evil 6. Resident Evil 6 obviously is a very polarizing game, or was at least back in the day. I have not tried to play this since I got it, and maybe I will have to try to pick it up at some point. Again, I don't know what people's opinion about it is anymore. I mean, maybe the opinion has changed over time. It's just a game I don't hear much about anymore, because obviously Resident Evil 7 came out back in the day, and I'm sure we'll get another Resident Evil. The Resident Evil games just keep coming. They never stop. So, up next, Red Dead Redemption. If you guys know me, you know I love Westerns. I love Westerns. Oh my goodness. I tried playing Red Dead Redemption 2, could not get into it, but maybe I'll get that again on PS4 at some point. But man, I absolutely adore this game. I bought it on day one, you know, and got all the DLC back in the day for this or whatever. I do have it on Xbox 360 as well. I do have it on that, and yeah, what can I say? It's, you know, it was the first huge open world Western game. I think Gun might have been an open world game, but it's been so many years since I played it. I don't remember. Did I beat Gun? I don't even remember if I beat it or not, but I might have actually. I know I got really far at Gun, but yeah, I loved the original Red Dead Revolver. So when I first found out this was coming out, I was absolutely stoked to get it. And I did play and beat it many years ago, and I played the other Red Dead Redemption, the Undead Nightmare expansion. I had played that. I remember buying the disc for that as well. Don't know if I still have the disc for it or not, but I do maybe have it on Xbox 360 if I don't have it on this. So yeah, Red Dead Redemption. Man, if you've never played Red Dead Redemption and you love Western, you owe it to yourself to play this game. It is unbelievably good. Also, it is available on modern platforms now or whatever. You know, I know it's on Nintendo Switch, and a lot of people said the Nintendo Switch version is good. I heard the PS4 version had some issues, maybe some performance issues in the frames per second category, maybe. I don't know. It's been a while since I heard anything about it, but yeah, I still think it's worth owning on Xbox 360 and PS3, and I have it on both. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Up next, we got God of War 3. I don't have much to say about this. I know it's available on more modern platforms. Yeah, I think I got it for like $2 or $3 at GameStop back in the day, because I was like, hey, I want to find the cheapest, best games you have, and this was one of them, so I grabbed it. So, yep. Skyrim. Skyrim is on everything. Everyone knows that. It's on modern platforms. It's on Nintendo Switch. It's on everything. Skyrim. I mean, I don't know what I could say that hasn't been already said about Skyrim. I have not actually tried it out. I have not actually played this. Maybe someday I will get to it. It's just one of many games I still need to tackle. Enchanted Arms. Here's another example of a game that I bought strictly because I thought the cover looked really cool. This is some type of RPG of sorts, and you have magic abilities, and you fight monsters. And it says on the back, unlock over 125 controllable creatures. And you're like you go from being a student to a warrior. So it sounds really interesting. I definitely want to tackle this one. I recall I actually did put it in my PS3, and the thing that surprised me most is there were no updates. I feel like every PS3 game I ever put in the system requires an update, but this one did not. So maybe it was just perfect right out of the box, and if that's the case, that's really freaking cool. I believe it's also available on Xbox 360, so perhaps if you don't have a PS3 and you have an Xbox 360, consider checking it out there as well. Up next, we got Alpha Protocol, the espionage RPG. So this game, it sounds like, from what I've heard about it, it pays homage to, you know, classic spy thrillers like, you know, Jason Bourne, James Bond, etc., etc. It's from Sega. It was made in Unreal Engine, and yeah, this is one of those games I saw the cover and thought it looked really cool. And I do want to play it. It's made by Obsidian. And I think I remember reading something about this game was still available digitally for a while, but I think in like 2019 they lost the license to the music. Don't quote me on that, but I remember reading there was a lot of praise about this game, but they never made a sequel. And I guess it just didn't sell well enough, so. Army of Two. This was an earlier PlayStation 3 game. I think I found it super cheap at the thrift store. Couldn't tell you much about it. I know it's a co-op game. I can tell you that much. I think you could even play this game online with a friend or something like that. I remember seeing something about that. But yeah, Army of Two. I talked earlier about Golden Axe Beast Rider, you know, based on a classic franchise that I really enjoyed. Here's more of the same here. You got Bionic Commando and Prince of Persia. I don't know a ton about either one of these games, to be totally honest. I think Prince of Persia got good ratings. Do you guys know in the comments section? In fact, out of these two, which one would you prefer? Up next, we got Injustice. Oh man, Injustice. I remember back in the day playing the Mortal Kombat versus DC fighting game, and that was kind of a precursor to this, you know? I mean, what can you say about it? It's, you know, the world's greatest heroes and villains from the DC universe fighting against each other. Not much to say about it, really. Looks pretty cool. I mean, I'm trying to think if there was anything else I had to say about it. I remember playing it a little bit, but not too much. I know I played the Mortal Kombat versus DC more than I played this, but perhaps I'll check this out one of these days. Up next, we got Batman Arkham Origins. Oh man. So I played Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City quite a little bit back in the day, but I never got around to this one. And I'd heard negative things about it, but recently I watched a video from, what's the content creator's name? Retro Rob, also known as the Retro Believer. And he had done a video about this game, and I think he talked a lot about the Wii U version, in fact, as well. And that was the one he kind of liked the most. He said the game takes place during Christmas. I'm like, holy cow, that's awesome. You know, that kind of sold me on the idea of like, you know what? I'm going to actually try this one out. I did pop it in my PS3 and it had a bunch of updates, as all PS3 games mostly have these days. And the game looks really promising. So you know what? I am actually going to go check this out. This is one of those games maybe I'll tackle. If I don't tackle it now, I will definitely put it on my list of Christmas games to play during Christmas. So thank you, Retro Rob, for recommending this. So yeah, I definitely want to check this out. Up next, we got NBA 2K12. Another game that's in 3D. That's right, you can play this game in 3D, which is pretty darn cool. That's something I mentioned in my previous PS3 video. And yeah, so why did I get this? Because Michael Jordan, of course. Michael Jordan's on the frickin' cover. Of course, you know. I'm a Illinois-based YouTuber here, you know, and I mean, who didn't grow up loving Michael Jordan? I was a huge Michael Jordan fan back in the day. That's all I really got to say about that. Will I ever try that game out? Maybe. Maybe I will at some point. Up next, you got my only red cover PS3 game, and that's Warhawk. I don't know too much about this game. I know it's an online-only game, I believe. Yeah, it says 2 to 4 players, and it says online broadband required. And yeah, so it's got like flying, it's got like tanks, it's got infantry. I don't know too much about it otherwise. This is kind of a paperweight since it plays only online. I don't even know if the online servers are up on this anymore, but maybe I'll try it out and see if they are still up. I don't know. And finally, we're getting down to the best games. Of course, racing games. That's right. Please don't click off. I beg you. Let me tell you what I think about these. I know everybody has their own preferences and tastes. Anyways, you got NASCAR the Game Inside Line with Dale Jr. on the cover. That's right. I popped this in the other day and I was fascinated by the career mode on here. It actually, I was thinking, oh, I'd get to play as any driver I want to start out the game. And the career mode, it's like you make your own driver. And like Ray Evernham's doing voiceovers in this. You know, if you guys don't know who Ray Evernham is, he was Jeff Gordon's crew chief during the 90s when they were absolutely dominating. I think Ty Norris has a voiceover in this as well. But I like how the different variety of car numbers, man, I forgot how awful the Car of Tomorrow looked back in the day. Oh man, it just absolutely looks like trash. But the thing I think is really great about this is the fact that this was basically NASCAR 13 in a nutshell. I want to say this was the last year when they had Ford, Chevy, Dodge, and Toyota, because after that, Dodge got out of the sport and there hasn't been a fourth manufacturer in NASCAR since. So yeah, and it's got my favorite driver, David Gilliland, in it, so I consider that a huge W, of course. Yeah, David Gilliland only drove in the Cup Series from 2006 to 2015, so yeah, this is a pretty good game. I don't think it's as good as some of the classic NASCAR EA games, but it was much better probably than NASCAR 09, and It was, I don't know if this was much of an improvement over NASCAR the game, which came out, that was the previous one. This is made by Technics, and yeah, before that EA had a total stranglehold on the NASCAR series or whatever, but then they lost the rights, and then Technics picked it up, and there's been a lot of different companies that have had it since, and a lot of the NASCAR present games have not been good. But yeah, so, and it's yeah, it's definitely a window in time. I was fascinated just going through the car rosters and seeing some of these drivers, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot Mark Martin drove the 55 car, you know, just little stuff like that, you know, just really takes you back to a very different time in NASCAR. So, oh, and I remember, like, yeah, Dave Blaney was driving for Tommy Baldwin Racing back in the day too, in the 36 car or 7 car. I can't remember. I think it was the 36 car. But yeah, good game to have in my collection. Up next, we got Split Second. This is also available on Xbox 360, I believe. And this game's kind of wild. Basically, the premise of the game is it's like you're on a reality TV show or something. I remember playing it a little bit when I first got it, but I haven't touched it in a while, so maybe I'll come back to it. Up next, we got Gran Turismo 5, the ultimate driving simulator. Holy cow. I talked a little bit about this. I talked about the 3D aspect in my previous video. Man, that does definitely make a bit of a difference for sure. What I love about Gran Turismo games is basically, you know, it really is that driving fantasy. You know, you like basically can go to a car dealership and you buy cars to drive on real tracks. And there is a sense of reality. You know, it is a simulator. And I like that you can go to a new dealership or you can go to a used car dealership in this game. So, yeah, and weirdly enough, there's NASCAR cars in here. The reason there's NASCAR cars in here is, I said previously, Technics had picked up the license to make NASCAR games. This was a weird time between 2009 and 2011 because, yeah, there's NASCAR cars in here, and there's a weird, like, Jeff Gordon, like, digital character in here, and his eyes look dead. It's bizarre. But, yeah, so that was a weird time because, like, so the only NASCAR games that existed between NASCAR 09 and NASCAR the game, which came out, which I have a loose disc of, there's Days of Thunder, which was a terrible, terrible game. Awful arcade racer, just horrible. And then there was this game that had NASCAR cars in it. So, and yeah, and you could actually buy those cars within this game. So if you got enough credits and stuff, but yeah, it's got the A spec and B spec, different, you know, career paths and stuff. And it's an absolute joy to just go and drive cool new cars and unlocking more and more cars. And it's, what can I say? It's Gran Turismo. I mean, you can't go wrong. Like, everything from Gran Turismo 3 to Gran Turismo, this game here. I don't know about Gran Turismo 6. I never actually bought that game. I can't remember hearing any negative things. Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy about Gran Turismo 7. Don't know enough about to talk about that, but oh man, and if you have a PS3, you need Gran Turismo 5. I'm telling you right now, especially if you have a 3D TV. So, and up next, I'm going to talk about the last and most recent game that I got, and that's Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. I've been on a kick of buying racing games again. I also got Need for Speed Rivals on Xbox 360 at the same time when I purchased this game. And I started playing it, and it's been a while since I played a Need for Speed. Like, I couldn't even remember what these are about, honestly. This is pretty darn cool. The graphics still hold up nicely, though there is a remastered version on PS4, which you might want to check out. I don't know enough to speak to that, but it's cool that there's a remastered version. And I've had a lot of fun with this so far. You know, you start out in one kind of car, and basically where you're trying to, like, basically, you know, get away from the cops and stuff. There's those missions, and then there's the missions that you take on the role of a police officer, and you get to upgrade your car. Like, you start out with like a Crown Vic, and then you get like a Subaru WRX, and you know, it's like, so, and then there's like an RX Pursuit car, you know. So, but there's also on the other side of it is, you know, you can upgrade the car you have here. Like, you can actually get a Mazda RX-8. And, you know, it's just like on the other side of it, you know, and there's all these different exotic cars and stuff. It's crazy, but wow, what a fun time. I definitely am going to try and play this again a little bit. It's definitely on my list of games I want to try out again because I had an absolute blast, you know, just getting the new upgrades and cars. Yeah, can't say enough about this. Highly, highly recommend this. So those are the games I have cases for that are games in there. So now I'm going to show you guys the games I have that are loose. Okay, so next we got Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2. I have both of these. I remember playing Bad Company, the first one, and I had an absolute blast with it. I just loved the dialogue and the relationship between the guys or whatever in the game. It was hilarious, honestly. I remember having a really good time with that, but it's been, you know, probably like 10, 15 years at least. Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. I remember a buddy of mine playing this or whatever. It was one of those games I had bought on a whim, and he ended up playing it more of it than I did, and he had an absolute blast. I wish I could say the same. I remember playing the original Rainbow Six on N64 back in the day, but I never got into these, but maybe I'll have to change that at some point. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I remember playing this on multiplayer with a bunch of people on a big screen TV. I know that's just so random, right? But I don't remember ever playing this online. I know there's been a remaster and a remake probably or something. Yeah, Call of Duty. I mean, they're just everywhere. What can I say? Up next, we got MAG. I believe the online servers were shut down some time ago, so as far as I know, MAG is a total paperweight. But I'm sure there's some, you know, online server somewhere out there where people are playing it, you know, that's not an official one, but who knows. NASCAR 09. Honestly, I prefer the PS2 version. Yeah, it's a stripped down version. It's just basically the same as 08, but I like that version over this one. The only thing that's really a standout is the Jeff Gordon green screens, and I really regret not getting the Montreal DLC, you know, Circuit Giles Villeneuve. There was a DLC for that track or whatever, and I wish I had gotten that because that would have been cool to have raced in Montreal. I never got to race on that, so. And then I got NASCAR The Game, which was the one that came before NASCAR The Game Inside Line, and this was a breath of fresh air because a lot of people were very soured about this game and were very soured about the games that followed it afterwards. So this was a breath of fresh air at the time, and it came with free DLC. There were some problems performance-wise originally, but there were a lot of updates that were made later, so. Yeah, definitely glad to have this in the collection still. You know, it takes me back to a, oh man, you know, different time. I got F1 World Championship and 2010. I have not played, I think I played this one. I did play this one. I remember I bought it because there weren't a lot of racing games where I was at the time. And I was like, I need a racing game. I got to get myself a racing game. I got to get my fix. And I played this and I remember being like, man, they do qualifying really differently than compared to NASCAR, which was what I was used to. And just a number of different things, but this game, pretty good. Haven't played this one, don't have any opinions about it, unfortunately. Brother in Arms Hell's Highway, don't have much to say about that. This is one of those games I kind of found cheap and bought on a whim. Call of Juarez, Bound in Blood, kind of more the same. I've not played this one, but I heard good things about it. MLB 09 The Show. This is a game I bought for the purpose of playing a baseball game with my buddy. I had a friend of mine who really loved baseball games, and we'd played a number of baseball games together, and I didn't have any baseball games at the time, so I just kind of on a whim ran to GameStop, and I grabbed this, and we played this for a couple hours and had a lot of fun. You know, that's the memory behind this. I don't know who even was playing in 09 or whatever, and but yeah, that's kind of why I got that one. Guitar Hero Metallica. Metallica is one of my favorite bands of all time, so I had to get this game. And I remember playing a number of the songs on, and I would always use my Rock Band controller. I hated the Guitar Hero controller. I preferred Rock Band. And speaking of Rock Band, I have a number of these like track packs. Like, I don't think there's anything of significant importance, but what's cool about the track packs is once you put them in or whatever, basically, you know, they were basically worked as an expansion. So, you know, it recognized it on your system and that you owned it or whatever when you did that. Shaun White Snowboarding. This is a game I got super cheap, and I got it on recommendation from a friend who was really into snowboarding. Damnation. Damnation was one of the first PlayStation 3 games I got. It's by Codemasters? I had no idea. Yeah, this game's a pretty interesting little game. It's kind of like a Western cyberpunk kind of game. I think I got stuck on somewhere in the game and just kind of quit. I think that's what happened eventually. Gran Turismo 5 Prologue. Yeah, I remember playing this a little bit, but not as much as I played regular Gran Turismo 5. Active 2 Personal Trainer. I still have the armbands for this. I don't know why. I still have the armbands for this. Did this work with the PlayStation Eye? I can't remember. It might have. I mentioned earlier playing Quantum of Solace. Yeah, in fact, this is a game not only I played, but the buddy I was telling you guys about who I played the baseball game with, he played this on my PS3. In fact, he beat it, if I'm not mistaken. I also have this on Xbox 360 as well. Full Auto 2 Battle Lines from Sega. I have not ever played this one. I feel like this is another instance where I bought this on a whim at a thrift store or something, and I was like, oh, cool, another racing game. Final Fantasy 13. I wish I still had the case for this, and I wish I had the other two Final Fantasy 13 games. There's Final Fantasy 13 2 and Lightning Returns. I don't have those. Final Fantasy 13 is an incredibly polarizing game, honestly. I actually think it's a beautiful, gorgeous looking game, especially for its time. It was absolutely stunning. I remember playing it. But a lot of people did not like the battle system, and rightfully so. I actually didn't mind the battle system at all, but then you get to this part where the difficulty spike just goes insane. And I kind of just stopped playing after that. So this is a game I would love to revisit at some point because I feel like I have unfinished business with it and I want to see it through to the end. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. How many games have you gotten and you're like, man, I wish I had finished that game. I should see that through to the end. Up next, you got Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham City. I think I beat Arkham Asylum, but I didn't beat Arkham City, if I'm not mistaken. Also, somebody in the comments section of my last video mentioned to me that you can actually play Batman Arkham Asylum without a 3D TV. You just need like regular 3D glasses. So I think the red and blue 3D glasses. So that does actually work. So that's good to know. I didn't know that, honestly. I just knew it had 3D. I didn't even think about it because I don't have the case anymore. So it's something I would have forgotten. Up next, we got Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. Yeah, this is a great compilation right here. And it's got so many good games on it. I can't say enough about it. I mean, you can't go wrong with a Sega compilation, honestly, especially when it's classic games from the 16-bit era. So, up next, we got L.A. Noire. This is another game like Red Dead Redemption where I bought literally all the DLC and bought it day one. I love this game. It's such a different take on an open world, even though it's sort of openish, but it's also very linear at the same time. And you play as, Cole Phelps, and he starts out as, a beat cop, turns detective. Then he gets a little too big for his bridges, and I don't want to go into too much detail here, but, it takes place in the 1940s. It's got a very Black Dahlia kind of feel, very Untouchables sort of feel to it, classic cars from the time period and from the 30s and 40s, and it's so good, honestly. I can't say enough about it. Should I get the remastered version on PS4? I've been thinking about it, honestly, a couple of times. I don't want to get it on Switch because it takes up so much freaking space on a micro SD card, even if you get it physical, which I personally think is so stupid, but they should just, spend more money on a better Switch card, but whatever. Yeah, L.A. Noire. Can't say enough about it. I have this one on Xbox 360 as well. Up next is Dark Sector. This is another game I know absolutely nothing about it. I bought it at GameStop because it was cheap. It's just literally as simple as that. It looks pretty cool, though. Up next, we got Infamous Collection? I'm just now reading that it says collection on there. Does this mean it's the first Infamous game, or does it mean it's part of a collection? I feel like I got put on the spot here looking at this now, because for the longest time I thought this was just Infamous, but maybe it is. Maybe it's part of the whole collection. Now I'm going to have to put this disc in afterwards to see if this actually is the entire collection, or if this is just, Infamous 1 and not Infamous 1 and 2. I don't know. And finally, the last game on this list, we got Resident Evil 5. Holy cow. This is a game I played with that same buddy I was telling you guys about, where we played Quantum of Solace in that baseball game. And I have to say, one of the things that really stood out to me that made the two-player experience better than the one-player experience, it's so crazy and intense when you see your buddy getting killed by something or whatever, and you're just shooting it, and he's yelling and you're yelling, and it's so much freaking fun, in a crazy, terrifying sort of way. That just gets your heart pounding, honestly. Wow, yeah, Resident Evil 5. I liked this game. We had so much fun with it. It's definitely better as a two-player experience from my experience. That's it, guys. That's all the games I have for PlayStation 3. I think that's definitely over 60 games, I'm pretty sure. And if you made it this far, you were a trooper. You are awesome. Thank you so much for making it through to the end of this video. I mean, holy cow. This was fun to talk about these games, and I'm remembering things I had forgotten. That's what's great about making a collection video. You can reminisce about games, and you can kind of shame yourself and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't played this game. That's so embarrassing. But yeah, that is my collection of PlayStation 3 games. What was your favorite game in this collection that really stood out to you? And what's a game you would say, hey, maybe I should avoid that game? Comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay awesome in this universe. Thanks. Bye.